Hello, and today I want to talk about not getting personally offended if somebody doesn't like you back or somebody doesn't treat you right, and not creating a story about what this means, being like, oh my god, this is because I'm not good enough, this is because they don't like me, they hate me, they don't care about me, they think I'm a loser, they think I'm ugly, all these negative things about you, because it's not about you, and you don't need to create a negative story behind it. And something that helps with not taking things so personally is realizing and understanding that it's not rejection, it's cosmic redirection. And what I think this means is that the universe is interfering, and the universe is like making this person remove themselves from your life, or they're either making this person say something or do something to you that's like disrespectful to kind of get you to remove them from your life, because it's going to make you sit and think like, is this behavior acceptable, and is this something that I want to put up with? And the answer is no, you shouldn't put up with this, so then you should just remove them from your life. But instead of getting all upset, like, oh my god, this person treated me badly and they don't think I'm good enough, like, what does this mean? What does this mean about me? Like, this doesn't mean anything about you. It's just the universe showing you that this isn't your person, and it's just the universe trying to get you to remove this person from your life. And you just have to remember that people can only love you as much as they're capable of loving someone. So you might want to be loved in a certain way, and this person just might not be capable of loving you in that way, right? And they may even love you to the best of their ability and the best that they're able to love a person and show a person love, but this just might not be good enough for you. So you just have to ask yourself, is this love that this person is giving me enough? And if it's not acceptable, then you just have to move on and move on to the next person. And you can't expect them to change because they're just not going to change. And you also can't take it personally, like, oh my god, if they really loved me, like, then they would love me in the way that I need to be loved, when that's just not going to happen, because, like I said, people can only love you as much as they're capable of loving somebody, and if they're just not capable, then it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to share with you the 2 times this guy disrespected me during our hangout, and at first I found myself creating a negative story about what this means and how it means that I'm not good enough. But then I realized that it's actually not about me, and this is just how they treat everybody. So that's what you have to realize when people are treating you badly. Like, it's not about you. This is just how they would treat anybody else in the world. So I wanted to make this video because of a situation that recently happened. And I know I said that I was dating myself, so I kind of feel like a fraud. But because I met this guy in person at the bar, I thought that it was different, and I thought that it was okay that I hung out with him. So I'm kissing this guy at the bar, and then I end up leaving with him and going back to his house, right? And he wasn't necessarily showing me red flags, but it was just little things that, like, aren't necessarily a problem right now, but, like, in the future they're going to be a problem, and it's not going to be something that I can put up with, right? So even though this guy wasn't my ideal man, I still agreed to hang out with him again. Part of the reason being that I wanted somebody to drive me to the dispensary, because it's a 2-hour bike ride from my house, and, like, I didn't really want to bike 2 hours there and then 2 hours back, 4 hours of my time. So I kind of wanted somebody to just drive me. So that's why I was like, okay, let me just hang out with this guy and then he can drive me, right? But at the same time, there was, like, things about him that I did like, so I was also kind of giving him a second chance to see if he could wow me in some way, which then did not happen. And so I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, I'm thinking we can grab food and then go to the boardwalk, right? And he's like, let's shoot for 8 p.m. Let's shoot for 8 p.m. means I'm not fucking getting you at 8 p.m., right? Then at 7:30, he texts me, and he's like, actually, I'm running late. It might be like 8:15, 8:30. So now I'm like, this man is not coming to get me at 8:30, right? He doesn't pick me up until like 9:40, okay? So if he was like, he lives 40 minutes from me, so say he lived in my town, and then he was this late, I would be like, what the fuck, I'm not hanging out with you, right? But because of the fact that, like, I was hungry and I was waiting to eat, because we had made these plans at, like, 4, and I'm like, okay, like, I guess I'll wait to eat at 8, but then, like, he came at 9:40, and I didn't have any food at my house, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just go with him to get food, right? Even though, guys, even if someone does live 40 minutes to your house, if they're an hour and a half late, just, you could still be like, F you can go ahead and drive home. But anyways, he texted me that he's here, and I'm just like, okay, I'll be ready real quick, just give me, like, an hour and 30 minutes, kind of to be like, F you. But anyways, I go with him, right? Then at first you could think, oh my god, this man doesn't respect my time. He doesn't care about me. I'm not good enough for him. All these negative things about yourself, right? So this is where not taking things so personally comes into play, right? The next day when he drops me off, people are kind of calling him on the phone, and he's saying like, yeah, like, I'm almost there. Like, I'm coming there now, kind of thing. And so then eventually he's on the phone with someone, and he's like, yeah, I'll be there in like 20 minutes. I'm heading home now. Like, blah, blah's already there. The door's unlocked. He hangs up the phone, and I'm like, you're not going to be home in 20 minutes. We didn't even get to my house yet, and it takes you 40 minutes to get home. Like, why are you lying to these people about your whereabouts, right? So you have to realize that that's just the kind of person that he is, right? He tells people, oh, I'm on the way, even though he's not actually on the way. Because then he knew that I was mad at him. So in the car, he's like, yeah, like I texted you that I was on the way. But then I started talking to my family for like 15 minutes. I got into like this conversation with them, one of those conversations you can't get out of. Like, what are you talking about? Just like, I gotta go. Like, so, like, he's basically just the type of person that tells people I'm on the way, even when I'm not, and he's lying about the time that he's gonna be there, right? Because he did this to me, and I was mad and personally offended at it, but then I see that he's doing this type of behavior to everybody. So then what you just have to ask yourself is, in these types of situations where you feel like people are disrespecting you, like, okay, this is who they are, and is this behavior acceptable? Is this something that I want to accept? Like, don't think that it's about you. Just realize this isn't about me, but this is just the behavior, and now I have to make a decision. Am I going to accept this behavior, or am I just going to walk away from this person? Because you can't change a person like this. This is how they act to you, and this is how they act to everybody. Even if you were the most amazing person in the world, they're not going to change the way that they act. So here's the next disrespectful thing that happened, right? So he's kind of being a drama king about using the condom, and like he can't have sex wearing it because he's going to get soft and whatever. So I'm like, fine, you don't have to use it, right? So then we have sex, and then he pulls out and he like comes on my stomach, right? So then he goes to the bathroom to get something to clean it up, right? Then I ask the universe, like, if this man is my soulmate, he'll like clean it off for me, and if he's not, then he won't, right? So I know I said in the beginning that this wasn't my ideal man, but then the more I was hanging out with him, I started getting delusional. Like, oh my God, is this my soulmate? And one of the reasons was, like, right before we had sex, like, he revealed that he had Ritas, because I'm like, do you have candy? And he's like, no, but I have Ritas. And he had, like, the ice and the custard, so we could make gelatis, right? And it was so good, and I love Ritas, but there's not really a Ritas close to me right now where I'm living. It's like a 25-minute bike ride, so I haven't been able to get Ritas. So I'm like, oh my God, like, this is my soulmate. I was just, like, so hyped about the Ritas that, like, it was making me fall in love. Like, I don't even know. I have to like not be like that. But anyways, he comes out from the bathroom and he like hands me the toilet paper and he's like, here you go. And I just look at him like, what? And he's like, here you go. And I'm like, you do it. And he's like, what the fuck? I'm not doing that shit. Like, I just wash my hands. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to do it, whatever. He's refusing to do it, so what the fuck am I just gonna sit here arguing with him? So then I just did it myself. But like, I was like to him, that's so disrespectful. Like, it makes me feel like you don't care about me, you think I'm some whore, blah blah blah. And even after I explained to him why it upset me, he just didn't care. And he's like, I never did that for anybody. I didn't have to do that with my ex. I didn't have to do that for any other girl. No one's ever asked me to do that. Like, you have way too high of expectations. So, because he said all of that, it made me feel a little bit better, because in my mind, it's disrespectful because it makes me feel like I'm some whore you don't care about, right? And it's kind of like, in my mind, I guess I'm thinking, like, you'll do this for someone you care about and someone you love, like your girlfriend, someone you want to be your girlfriend, but you won't do it for someone that you hate and don't give a shit about, and you just kind of view them as, like, an object and not a person. But then he said he literally acts like this to everybody, and, like, no girls ever had a problem with it, so girls, I don't know what you're doing, but I feel like it's a problem. So he's being like, oh my God, like, that's so unnecessary. Like, do you really expect me to do that, like, every time we have sex? And I'm like, well, kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, realistically, not really, because you can technically do it better yourself, but I think it's just nice, and it, like, shows that they care, even though it actually doesn't actually show that they care, because I had people that really did not care about me and didn't give a shit about me who would even do it. Like, they would clean it for me, like, without having me to ask them. And, like, I think, like, one time I had to say to somebody, like, oh, you do it, and then they just did it, right? Like, he, like, literally refused to do it. Like, I think that's a major red flag, right? If they don't do it at first, like, that's kind of bad, but then if you say to them, oh, you do it, and then they do it, like, that's good. But then if you say to them, oh, you do it, and they literally refuse and make a whole big thing about it, that's a red flag. And they're like, oh my God, like, it's so simple, like, you just do it. I'm like, exactly. If it's so simple, why can't you just do it? And it was just making me mad, because I'm like, if you know that I'm upset about something that you could easily fix by doing a simple thing, why won't you just do it, right? And so basically he refused to do it, right? And so it's just another example of not taking things personally, because at first I could be like, oh my God, this man hates me, he doesn't view me as a person, right? When he could technically care about me a little bit and view me as a person, but he's just unwilling to do this thing for whatever reason, and he's never done it for any other girl before, and he's had a girlfriend in the past, which I'm assuming he left his girlfriend. So it's like, if he's not going to do that for someone that he loves, like, he's not going to do it for you. And like, even if you were like such an amazing person and this person loved you so much, they're just not going to do it for you, because people can only love you as much as they're capable of loving a person, right? And they're not going to change the way that they can love for you, right? So you just now have to ask yourself again, is this behavior something that I'm going to accept? and I'm not accepting this behavior, so, like, I'm about to block this man. But, like, I was like to him, like, you really would rather never have sex again than just do this simple thing? And, like, I don't even think he answered the question. I think he thought that I was being ridiculous and that I was being a crazy person. So, anyways, I still stepped over his house because I wanted him to take me to the dispensary the next day. And so, like, I didn't want him to not take me to the dispensary. But I feel like if it was, like, a situation where, like, we were in the same town and I was walking distance away, like in college, for example, I would have just got up and walked home, like, fuck you, like, what? And going back to, like, the universe and how the universe kind of, like, makes situations happen, because of the fact that when he went to the bathroom to get the toilet paper, I literally thought to myself, like, if he's the one, he'll do this. If he's not the one, he won't. And then he came out being so crazy with it. Because it could have been, like, he comes back with it, hands it to me, and then I say, oh, no, you do it. And then he does it. Like, then in my mind, I might be like, because first I'm getting the, no, he's not my soulmate, but then he changes his behavior, so yes, he is my soulmate, but the universe is like, this man is not your soulmate. So they really made him be crazy with it and really literally refused to do it. Like, it was so weird. It was kind of like I was in a simulation almost. So you just have to realize that these situations that happen don't equal that you're unworthy. It just equals this person is an asshole and they don't know how to behave correctly and they don't know how to love you in the way that you want to be loved, right? So before we even got back to his house, like, he brought up his ex-girlfriend for some reason. I'm like, oh, like, what happened? Like, she broke up with you? He's like, yeah, she broke up with me. And then I'm like, why, you were a bad boyfriend? And he's like, yeah, in the end of the relationship, I was a bad boyfriend. And I'm like, oh, what did you do? And he's like, he didn't want to say what it was. He's like, it's just like the past. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I think it was a couple of years ago. So that was a huge red flag. Like, he literally admitted to me that he was a bad boyfriend. So it's like, I shouldn't even be expecting him to treat me right because that's just who he is. And he's, I guess, not capable of being a good boyfriend, right? So I just have to say, okay, this isn't behavior that I'm going to accept. And I just need to block this person and remove them from my life. You can't think like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. And like, if I could change myself and be better, then maybe they'll change and they'll love me more and treat me better, when that's just not the case and that's just not going to happen. So even though this like isn't my ideal man and whatever, I still get upset about these things when they end because I think that it's about me and I feel badly about myself. Like, oh my God, am I not worthy? Am I not lovable? When you just have to realize that that's not true. And I'm happy at the fact that this man revealed to me how he was a bad boyfriend and how he didn't do these things for other girls and how like, and then I saw the way that he treated his friends with not respecting their time. So it just showed me that like I shouldn't take these things personal, and it made me kind of think of like my past relationships with people and how I like really took things personally. And even just like with friends or just any people in the world, like I always just take things personally and I think it's about me, when really if you actually observe their behavior, like they act like that to everybody. Like if you have somebody that's like they like say jokes to you but they're like kind of mean, and it's like they're pretending to joke with you but really they're being mean to you, and like you get so personally offended, you're like, oh my God, this person hates me, like why are they so mean to me? But if you really observe how they act with other people, they're also being mean to other people and saying those jokes to other people. So it's just like they're acting mean towards everybody, and it's not about you personally, and you shouldn't be feeling offended by this. And you just need to realize like, okay, I'm still worthy and I'm still lovable and I'm good enough, and like just because this person treated me badly doesn't mean anything. So I saw this post on Instagram yesterday. Imagine being bitten by a snake, and instead of trying to help yourself heal and recover from the poison, you were trying to catch the snake to find out the reason it bit you and to prove that you didn't deserve that, right? And I saw that and I was like, literally after all these situations happened, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's so true. You know, just because someone was mean to you and they hurt your feelings or whatever, you don't need to go back to them and prove your worth to them and find out, oh my God, why did you treat me like this? Like, I don't deserve that. Why are you acting like this? Like, you don't need to do all of that. You just need to realize this person is a snake and that's just who they are and that's how they act, and I can't change them. So this behavior is unacceptable. So I'm just going to remove you from my life and focus on myself, or just focus on meeting somebody that's better than you, right? So for me, it kind of takes me a little bit to learn a lesson. So like, you know, people say like you live and you learn, and I always say that to my mom when bad things happen. I'm like, you live and you learn. And then one time she's like, that's your problem, Grace, you don't learn, you just live. But I think I really learned my lesson this time, guys, and that's why I'm actually gonna go back to dating myself. So you won't hear me talking about a man again unless I actually meet my soulmate. I texted my friend today and I was like, do not let me leave the bar and go back to some guy's house unless they're the sexiest man that we've ever met, okay? And so in the past, I had a problem with like accepting dates with guys that I already kind of knew, like, this isn't my person and this is not my soulmate, the one I'm meant to marry, right? But at the same time, I would then get upset when they would then also realize that and feel the same way about me, right? So I'm thinking badly of myself, like, what the heck? Like, why do you not like me and I'm not good enough for you? And it's kind of like that TikTok audio that's like, I was going to say no, but why are you saying no? Kind of thing. Like, what the heck is going on here? But you just have to accept when things aren't meant to be, and you can't expect another person to love you and care about you when you don't even love and care about them. Like, things should always be mutual. And at this end of the day, it's honestly better that this person just removes themselves from your life as opposed to them like clinging on to you and begging for you to be in your life. Because I had this one ex that like wouldn't let me break up with him. So I tried to break up with him, and then he kept making all these fake Instagram accounts. He literally made like 100 fake Instagram accounts to contact me because I kept blocking him. But now there's like a feature that you can do that's like block this person and any other new accounts that they can create. So now he's like unable to contact me. But like when you weren't able to do that, he kept contacting me and he emailed me. I eventually had to write him a letter so that he would stop contacting me. Then he actually stopped, whatever, like, we don't talk anymore, and I think he accepted now that the situation in our relationship is over, but it's just better when they can move on and get away from your life as opposed to them, like, keep reaching out to you and harassing you, because, and then you might start to feel bad for them, and you might end up going back with them, and they might manipulate you into going back to them. So it's just better when they just remove themselves from your life and you can just move on from them. And so something else that happened with this guy that made me realize that if you want to feel love, you got to give it. And so when I like am hooking up with someone and like having sex with them, I don't like it when they're silent and they're not saying anything and they're not saying words to me. It makes me feel like they don't care about me. So when we're having sex, I like kind of pull away to like have this conversation with him, because I feel like it's just better to talk about things during than to do a whole thing and then be kind of uncomfortable and then talk about what happened after the fact. So I like explained this to him, and then he's like, well, I don't recall you saying anything to me. And then I was like, well, that's because I was waiting for you to initiate it and get it going, and then I was going to start. But like he was also waiting for me to get it going and whatever, and he told me that he doesn't like to initiate things, kind of like fear of rejection, and I just don't want to be with someone like that. I want to be with like a more dominant person. So anyways, I tried to initiate things so that he would match my energy. But before we like started having sex again, we did this thing where like I complimented him and said a few things I liked about him. And then doing this honestly made me realize that I actually didn't even like this man, because I could only come up with like 4 things to say, which is bad. So like if you're with someone, you maybe should do this with them and you might realize that you don't even like them, okay? So then I'm like, okay, now do me, because he was happy with what I said, and then he complimented me, which was nice. But it just made me think, like, when I date somebody, like, I think I might have too high of expectations in some areas because of the fact that, like, if I meet somebody, I expect them to be obsessed with me and in love with me after one day of knowing me, right? When that's just kind of unrealistic, because I'm not obsessed with this person and I probably barely even like them. So it's like, if you don't really even care about someone, you can't expect them to care about you so hard and be obsessed with you and be in love with you, right? And it's just kind of realizing and accepting that this relationship isn't meant to be, and like you don't like this person, so you can't expect them to be in love with you and be chasing after you so hard. And if you really think about it, like, it's not that you, because you might be thinking like, what are you talking about? Because I do love this person and I do care about them. If you really think about it, no, you don't. Because if it was actually your person, then they would feel the same way about you and everything would be good. So I would just get personally offended when somebody didn't like me, even though I didn't like them, because I was thinking like, oh, what does this mean about me? This means that I'm bad. But now I'm seeing that it doesn't mean that, and it's just for the best for things to be mutual. And if things are mutual, like, it's not bad. And even if you do love somebody and they don't love you back, like, that's not bad, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that the relationship wasn't meant to be, and you're gonna find your person, like, when the time is right. And, like, sort of on a separate note, I have, like, this limiting belief that people don't care about me. And I think that this situation kind of comes up more, like, with guys, and, like, maybe this is because of, like, past trauma. But so, like, I am kind of looking for reasons to confirm my belief that they don't care about me, which is bad. And, like, I need to start believing that people do care about me, and maybe I will then have more positive experiences. Like, because of that video I made, like, where you should think that people do like you. And when I was doing that, I was kind of thinking of it as people like me, like as a friend type of thing. And I wasn't really thinking of it as in like terms of relationships. Because it can be easier for me to think like, oh, girls will like me, people want to be friends with me, whatever. Just random strangers like me, than to think that a guy would actually really like me and care about me. I guess because of like my past issues. So that's something that I want to focus on more, and actually believing that a guy will care about me and love me, and like just not settling for people that don't care about me, and like giving people second chances. Because what would happen, I guess I would feel like, is like I'd meet someone and there's little things about them that I don't like about them, but it's like not all bad. They obviously have good qualities and I think they're cute or whatever. So then I give them a second chance, but it's just like the universe really shows me that it's just not meant to be. And then sometimes they'll end up removing themselves from my life. And then I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's going on here? Why are they removing themselves from my life, even though I don't like them or care about them, and I don't even want them? But I'm just like, I get mad about it when I just can't be like that. And I just have to think, well, why do you even care? Because it's not meant to be. And you just have to accept that it's not meant to be, and just allow this person to remove themselves from your life. And because if you're wasting your time with them, you're not going to find the person that you are meant to be with. So just let them go and accept that it's over, and it's okay that it's over. And if you are really sad about something that I like to do is just pretend that this other person doesn't even exist, and just start remembering that we're in a simulation, and like this man doesn't exist and whatever. Like one time I went on a date with this guy. I told him when we were hanging out that I would like hang out with him again. But when we kissed right before he dropped me off, he was like a terrible kisser. And so then I just was like, yeah, I don't actually want to hang out with you anymore. He started roasting me, saying all these mean things about me. He's like, the reason I would never have sex with you is because I wouldn't want you to be the mother of my kids. Like telling me that I'm going to be a mad mother and all these things. I was getting really upset over this. And then he's like, when I was looking at you, I was just thinking of my ex and how she's so much hotter than you. And so then I have to say to myself, like, this man does not exist. He's not even a real person. It actually made me feel better. And then I went to bed. Like, obviously this doesn't always work if you end up seeing this person again in the real life, because obviously you can block people, but then you might see them at some place. If you guys met in person, like, you might see them again, but like, just pray that you won't see them again. So you just can't take it personal when someone breaks up with you, or somebody stops talking to you, or somebody doesn't like you. And you can't think that it's about you, because it's just about them and the type of person they are. And if someone is treating you badly and they're disrespecting you, it's not about you. And you couldn't have done anything differently to change the situation, to change the outcome of the situation. So don't blame yourself for it ending, and just accept that it ended. And like, it's okay to be upset about it for a day, a few days, like, but then you have to move on. I mean, obviously, depending on if it's different, if it's like, oh, you just met someone, you knew them for like a week, or if you knew somebody for like a year, like how long it's going to take you to get over it. But like, you should not be being upset over this person for more than a week, okay? And if you just met them and you only know them for like a week, like, you should be over it in 2 days, honestly. Like, I get really, like, dramatic, and I feel like I'm going through a huge-ass breakup, even though I barely even knew somebody. But I only get like that for, like, a day, and then I just move on, and I just gotta tell myself, like, it's not that serious, it wasn't meant to be, and just trust that I'll meet my person eventually, and just focus on myself. Like, I'm gonna focus now on creating more higher self-esteem, because I realize I don't really like the way that I present myself on dates, and, like, in these situationships, I guess, with people. And I just want to present myself more confident, and just be more confident with it. And then also, of course, not accept dates with people that I clearly already know that there's no future with them, because that's bad. So just remember, it's not your fault, and you didn't do anything wrong, and it just wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. Not everything is meant to be. I feel like sometimes I meet these people and I feel like it happened in a way that it was like destiny. But maybe you guys were destined to meet, but it doesn't mean that you're destined to be together. Like in this specific situation, maybe I was meant to meet that guy so that he could take me to the dispensary, and then that's it, right? And at first I was like, oh my God, he took me to the dispensary. That means the carts that I got are bad vibes. But you can't think like that, and you can't even hold on to these negative experiences and like energy. And what I'm going to do now is focus on the positives of the situation, because when I went to the dispensary, it was kind of like I was by myself in there, because he got his own stuff and then he's kind of walking around the place. So like, I'm talking to the lady in there, asking her for advice and like what to get and whatnot. And she had like really good vibes and good energy. And like, so did her like coworkers, the other employees in there, and just like the atmosphere of the place was nice. So like when I hit my car, it's like I'm just gonna think about that and the good experience that I had in there, and not think about him like in any way, or just like be able to think about him but not like getting so upset about it and like freaking out over it. And I think like since I know like it's not my fault, like the way he was acting, and like he would have just acted that way with any girl, like that makes me feel better and makes me realize that like I didn't do anything wrong, and like there's nothing I could have done to prevent that situation from happening or the relationship ending. And like I don't know, honestly don't know what he's thinking right now, because when he dropped me off at home, he's like, I had a really nice time with you. And then I was just like, I had fun with you up until you started being mean to me. And so then he like didn't really care that I was mad, and then he's just like, see you later. And then I was just like, whatever, bye. Like, you can think about why I'm mad at you. So honestly, I don't know. He might text me tomorrow, but I'm probably just gonna block him, because I just can't even deal with him, because he disrespected me twice, and you shouldn't let a man disrespect you more than one time. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and comment if this video was helpful for you, and comment any other videos you want to hear me making. Bye!